Good evening, Macau and the World Wide Web. I'm Herbert Ramos, and welcome to the Sunday's News Report in English. Here's what's going on in the region and the rest of the world. The Macau International Fair ended this evening. More than 80,000 people visited the fair since Thursday. But the Trade and Investment Promotion Institute says this year the priority was given to the companies and businessmen. This year's edition of the Macau International Fair has been open for 4 days. 2,000 delegates represented 120 delegations from different countries. The Portuguese-speaking countries were likewise thoroughly represented in this fair, with the presence of 280 delegates. But the main objective of the fair was to pave its way for business. In this year's edition, 34 projects were signed in the fair. The Portuguese-speaking countries signed 8 protocols. The representative of the Portuguese Investment Promotion Institute told TDM the fair was important to establish contacts between businessmen that might lead to business ventures in the future. The only figures that decreased were the number of visitors. This year, only 80,000 people visited the fair, as compared to 100,000 visitors who came in last year. The Macau Trade and Investment Promotion Institute says this happens because this year's fair targeted mainly the businessmen. More on local updates. The Consumers Council started today a campaign directed for the East Asian Games period. They have the objectives of making tourists more aware of their rights while shopping in the region, and they urge the local shops to acquire certificates of quality. The East Asian Games will start next week. During the 1-week-long competition, about 500,000 visitors are expected to enter Macau. The Consumers Council wants these visitors to feel welcome in Macau's consumer shops. To achieve this goal, the Consumers Council started a campaign that will be ongoing until November the 6th, to which is the last day of the Games. A group of students will go through the busiest streets in Macau to hand out leaflets to the tourists and shoppers in different languages. This leaflet explains the meaning of the quality logos put on display in the local establishments and how to solve conflicts between consumers and vendors. But the campaign also targets the shop owners of Macau. The president of the Consumers Council told TDM he hopes to convince more shop owners to request for this logo of quality. Right now, there are 680 shops in Macau with certifications, 180 more as compared to that of last year's account. This afternoon, the Civil Servants Association has heard the opinions of its members in regards to the government welfare proposal. The president of the association and lawmaker Pereira Coutinho accuses the government of not respecting the rights of the workers. The headquarters of the Civil Servants Association was full this afternoon. The members of the association analyzed a new government proposal of a welfare system aimed for Macau civil servants. They shall now draft a document stating the major concerns of the civil servants pertaining to the issue. Lawmaker Pereira Coutinho and president of the association says the working years before one individual enters his civil service career needs to be endorsed a welfare scheme. By now, the previous working years are not considered in the government's proposal. Coutinho also demands that the government consider the economic realities of Macau, such as the booming recipes for the gaming industry, to provide a better quality of life for the civil servants during their retirement. The government proposal also gives the civil servants the opportunity to choose where to invest their retirement funds. Coutinho also directs some criticism on the issue. He suggests that the government itself should manage this fund, as most workers do not acquire much knowledge on investments and management. Nonetheless, Coutinho accuses the government of disrespecting the rights of the civil servants. Currently, he is about to embark for Lisbon, where he will participate in the Council of the Portuguese Communities Living Abroad. There, he will discuss the case of the Portuguese school and the situation of the Portuguese consulate, eyeing its lack of resources. Meanwhile, in news overseas, a Nigerian airliner crashes with 116 people on board, including senior officials. The Bellevue Airlines flight crashed shortly after taking off at 8:45 in the evening from Lagos en route to the capital Abuja. It lost contact with the control tower minutes later during a heavy electrical storm. Authorities located the wreckage of the Boeing 737-200 airliner in Kishi, Oyo State in southwestern Nigeria, about 200 kilometers north of Lagos.
Relatives wait anxiously at Lagos Airport in Nigeria for news of loved ones on board the crashed Bellevue Airlines flight. Even after hours of waiting, some still had no information.
Nothing. They haven't said anything.
Wreckage of the aircraft, which was carrying 116 people, was found about 200 kilometers north of Lagos. The flight lost contact with the airport control tower minutes after takeoff. Emergency services have launched a search and rescue mission, but it's not clear yet if there are any survivors. Michelle Kalala-Khoury, Reuters.
Croatian scientists detect a bird flu virus of the H5 type in wild swans found dead at a fish pond in Zdenki. Samples have been sent to Britain to determine if the virus was of the lethal H5N1 strain. The results are expected next Monday or Tuesday, and the European Commission said it was preparing a ban on the importation of poultry from Croatia.
The exact type of bird flu virus hasn't yet been confirmed, but Croatia is taking no chances. A pond where dead swans were found has been sealed off, and thousands of birds in the surrounding area will be culled.
We have started culling all poultry in a 3-kilometre area around the fish pond. The total number of birds to be culled is some 10,000 in around 1,000 households.
If tests show the bird flu strain is the deadly H5N1, Croatia will become the latest country to be banned from exporting poultry. One chicken farmer says she's had enough.
If they destroy them all, we'll no longer keep poultry. I can't go through this again.
In Romania, the first European country to detect the virus, scientists have discovered a new suspected case near the border with Moldova. Samples from the heron are now being tested, while the rest of Europe holds its breath. Sonia Legg, Reuters.
In international calamity updates, Florida, United States, prepares as Wilma is predicted to pick up speed before hitting. Mexico's famed Caribbean resorts were knee-deep in water this morning after Hurricane Wilma roared past uprooting trees, smashing homes and killing at least 6 people, as the storm set a new course for Florida.
Isn't what holidaymakers had in mind when they booked their Mexican sun and sand vacation. Hurricane Wilma pounded the nation's Yucatan Peninsula for 36 hours with winds of 120 miles an hour. Homes were destroyed and beach resorts flooded, forcing tourists and residents to shelter as winds wreaked havoc outside. Florida is next in line, but that's not keeping these surfers off the beach just yet.
Normally it's like a bathtub, so this is better than anything. You never see it this good, so take advantage of it.
The authorities aren't taking any risks, though. They've already started ordered evacuations of 80,000 in the vulnerable Florida Keys. Michelle Kalala-Khoury, Reuters.
Pakistani tent manufacturers have geared up efforts to meet the growing requirement of tents for thousands of survivors of the earthquake. The Pakistani government has placed a complete ban on the exports of tents so that all the supplies could be diverted to quake-affected areas. Officials say there was a demand for 8,000 tents a day to shelter about 2 million or more survivors of the October 8 earthquake.
Workers in this factory are working round the clock to double the production of tents. Pakistani government officials say there's demand for 8,000 tents a day to shelter victims of the earthquake. On top of that, NGOs have been putting in orders. Now so many tent producers have increased production, there is a shortage of skilled workers.
As soon as we heard about the earthquake, we completely diverted all our production to producing family tents for the earthquake victims. And our company has long-term agreement with various NGOs outside.
The company's voluntarily shut down exports for at least 30 days. With the growing demand for quality canvas, its price has doubled. The tents will go on to shelter the 2 million or more survivors of the earthquake as they face the onset of winter. Penny Tweedy, Reuters.
A Salvatore Ferragamo fashion show takes place in what was once the seat of China's emperors. The well-heeled turnout at Ferragamo's Spring-Summer 2006 ready-to-wear collection in Beijing highlighted China's hunger for sophisticated fashion.
Likely invasion files through Beijing's ancient Forbidden City. A brigade of leggy models showing off Salvatore Ferragamo's latest collection. It's a sign that luxury is conquering China. The world's fastest growing economy has left millions of new rich with cash in hand and a hunger to spend it. But style doesn't necessarily come with wealth. That's why fashion magazine Vogue is including lessons on how to put outfits together in its new magazine for the Chinese market.
In China, the whole luxury market is quite new, and they need a lot of information and guidance and education.
Sales of luxury goods in China are set to rise by 20% a year until 2008. That's despite the bulk of China's labouring population in the countryside living on an average of $355 a year. Michelle Kalala-Khoury, Reuters.
And before you go and hit the catwalk, here's the weather forecast for Monday the 24th of this month. It will remain relatively dry and fine with light to moderate north to northeasterly winds, accompanied by large to small waves on our shoreline. The minimum temperature is situated at around 19 degrees centigrade and will be settled at 26 degrees Celsius. That was the weather, and those were our stories. I will see you again tomorrow at the same time. You do stay safe and enjoy the rest of the weekend. Good night.
I want to express my thanks and gratitude